Hi, Hashtag Impact listeners. I am Regina Larco, founder of Hashtag Impact and one of your Season 5 hosts. I'm so excited about our upcoming Season 5 that will launch in winter 2020. Together with 4 brilliant co-hosts based across the globe, Hashtag Impact Season 5 will address the Sustainable Development Goals. I will bring you encouraging impact stories from Hong Kong. A former Hashtag Impact guest that really inspired me in how she tackles the Sustainable Development Goals is Dr. Jill Robinson, founder of Animals Asia Foundation. One of the targets of Sustainable Development Goal 15 is to address both demand and supply of illegal wildlife products and to prevent the extinction of threatened species. You can't unsee things. This is what Jill says about her experience walking into a bear farm in the south of China back in 1993. Since that day, her mission is to end cruelty and restore respect for all animals across Asia. As we are curating our stories for Hashtag Impact Season 5, our team went back into our archives to bring you Jill's incredible story that was first aired on Hashtag Impact in October 2017. We'd love for you to join us for Season 5 as well. Find information on how you can share your story and partner with us at hashtagimpact.com/Season 5. Now enjoy one of our Hashtag Impact classics when I sit down with Dr. Jill Robinson. I'm sure a lot of our listeners have heard of Animals Asia before, but for the people that haven't, I understand that this all started. The starting point was in 1993 when you walked into a bear farm in south of China by accident, really, being part of a tour group and seeing these gruesome conditions and abuse of these bears in these farms. I would like to ask, what would you tell that woman today, that woman that was shocked and devastated when you walked in there?
That's quite an interesting question, but I would tell that woman to take the same path that she took all those years ago in 1993. You can't unsee things, and you're being, I think, deceitful to yourself if you don't listen to messages throughout your life. And that was certainly one of the biggest messages that I'd ever received that fateful day in 1993. And I've never forgotten it. I've never forgotten a certain bear that put her paw through the bars of the cage. I've never forgotten a ridiculously stupid thing that I did by taking her paw, but it was there and she was offering it to me, and I just felt compelled to take it. And we had a moment together where I knew I would never see her again, but where her message was very clear, and I left that farm knowing that the whole of my life had changed.
So what happened today after?
Well, I was working for an international organisation at that time, and so I think my natural instinct was to just be so angry and so critical of why she was there, and believing that the use of her body fluid, her bile in traditional medicine, was completely just so unjustified. But I think I had a very big shock, because I first of all began to talk with Chinese medicine doctors and very quickly realised that bear bile did have a place in Chinese medicine, but also talking with Western doctors as well to find out that bear bile really does work. It really works. It's got a very essential acid called ursodeoxycholic acid, or UDCA, and it's actually synthesised today chemically in a laboratory. So this synthesis, the herbal alternatives, I realised could actually take the place of the real bear bile. And I think as soon as I realised that, I knew that the bears didn't have to die. And I knew that then bear farming was unnecessary. It was wrong. It was cruel. It still is cruel. And that would be a mission to end it. And it just, as I say, that changed everything. And it led to the foundation of Animals Asia in 1998, because I wanted to fully concentrate on that and other specific issues here in Asia from a local perspective, with myself and with friends that had either been born or lived in Hong Kong and Asia for many, many years. And that was it. We started Animals Asia, and we've never looked back. And we've now got a staff of over 300 people, which I find unbelievable to be mentioning. You know, we've got a very large budget looking after over 600 bears in China and Vietnam, award-winning sanctuaries. And of course, we've got the programs that you mentioned, you know, helping dogs, cats and captive animals in zoos, safari parks, etc.
What was the hardest part about starting out?
Well, I think the hardest part then and now, of course, is that all-important funding. You know, again, with the bears that we've rescued, with that responsibility, our duty of care for these animals, for their 30-year lifespan, that really concerns me. You know, bears are like us, they're food obsessed, they're very, very greedy, and they are very expensive to look after. You know, the sanctuaries themselves cost millions of US dollars each year. And we obviously need to build our reserves to have almost a pension plan for these bears over the next 30 years. So that does worry me a lot. And of course, the cost of our programs as well each year to implement, to engage the public, the governments in both China and Vietnam, and of course here in Hong Kong, to work collaboratively with us and to just really see you know, that rise in support for animal welfare and conservation in the Asia continent. It doesn't come cheap. It's an expensive project, but you know, we can't turn away now. We've started, and we have so much to finish.
Mm-hmm. Is there like a special milestone in these early days where you felt, yeah, this is gonna be big. This is gonna be a movement. I have people that support me. Was there a special turning point where you felt this is not just me fighting anymore, this is bigger than me?
Yeah, I think the opening of both sanctuaries in China and Vietnam, the bear sanctuaries there was such a profoundly touching moment, you know, for all of us in the team, that we realised, oh my goodness, there's no going back now. You know, we've started this and we have that responsibility for the lives of these bears now for the next 3 decades. And I just think, you know, this whole journey of ours, I'm a complete optimist. I say that unashamedly because I think you have to be in this business, you know, and we see such a groundswell of support now in both countries. You know, people have heard me say before that when I began in the mid-80s in animal welfare here in Asia, there was one animal welfare group in China, and now there's over 150 animal welfare groups. And these are very robust, intelligent, passionate people that have these organisations that are really getting things done and working very, very well and sensitively with the government too. So we are seeing a new era, and it excites me every single day. It's the reason to get out of bed in the morning, you know, and it's the reason to continue what we're doing, because we see progress and we see success every single day.
Is that no bear died in vain? All your bears, they have names for people that are not so familiar with your sanctuaries there yet. I saw a very touching video where you gave a tour of this really magical place actually. How would you describe to someone who has not seen a bear in real life yet? How would you describe this bond that obviously is there between you and every single one of these beautiful creatures?
Well, the people that have come to the sanctuary, and especially our celebrities, so for example our UK celebrities, both Peter Egan and Leslie Nichol, they have both used the words life-changing, and I've heard that so many times from other people as well, because it's true. You just walk on this place of peace, you know, at both sanctuaries in China and Vietnam, and you just sort of absorb that energy of this majestic, forgiving species that we work with. The bears we work with, moon bears and brown bears in China. We work with moon bears and sun bears in Vietnam. And they are all the most, charismatic, engaging animals that you could ever wish to meet. And they forgive you at the end of the day. And that's what I find so astonishing. And, I'm very much a believer in one life. All of us, whatever species we are born with one life. And I think our duty towards other lives is to help preserve it and be compassionate and as cruelty-free as we can. And that's what we endeavour to do at the sanctuaries. Every bear is an individual. Every bear has a name. Every bear has a health check every 2 years, because we know very well that however these bears die, ultimately at the end of their lives, and however long we have them, and some of them we have already had, for over 20 years, they will die as a result of the bear farming industry, in how their bodies have been so badly compromised on those bear bar farms. It's just really important to have the health checks very regularly, to be able to perform ultrasounds, x-rays, to be able to investigate their bodies, to ensure that their physical and their psychological health is good. And if not, then we obviously can apply our veterinary expertise to help them through these years and through whatever problem they have.
And when they do die, you bury them.
Yes.
And there is something very special about their graveyard.
Bless you, Regina. Yeah. Yes, there is. Again, it's another very special place. Again, it gives them that respect that they never had on the bear bar farms. We, in both countries, we bury them with their favourite food and their favourite toys. We read a poem in English and Chinese. One of the lines of the poem is, "Please look upon the others and give them promise of hope soon, and tell them to be patient and always wear the moon." And the moon, of course, is that lovely crescent-shaped moon of yellow fur on the moon bears' chests. I always say that it's so important to engage the entire staff in that decision when the time comes to say goodbye to the bears. And you very rarely get that at zoos. It's not just the vet decision, it's the bear workers' decision, the people that have been responsible for feeding and cleaning out those dens and being with those bears every single day, that recognise the subtleties in the change of the demeanour of those bears and report back to the vets they think they've got a problem. And it's important for those people to have closure, as well as saying goodbye to the bears at the end of the day, and even the burial as well. Everyone needs to say, as we do with people, with our friends, our families, to say a respectful goodbye. And I think that more zoos should be responsible to have grave sites at their facility, because surely a species that has been on display and much loved by the public and by the staff should then be given a respectful goodbye by those very same people.
Something I read about you was that you introduced the concept of animal welfare through people welfare. But what does that mean?
Well, I'm very interested in the science behind animal therapy, because the more I read about it from scientific papers, the more I believe in it. And I think the more I benefit from it as well. And where people are maybe now quizzically, knitting their eyebrows. If you have a dog or a cat, that feeling when you come home, you've had a bad day, you've had an argument with your boss, or your friend, or you've tripped over in the street, whatever, you've lost your keys and you can't get in, whatever. You walk into your front door and suddenly there's your dog, just bouncing up to you, even if you've been away for 10 minutes, as if you've been away for 5 years, and that surge of love that goes through your body, I always say, I think is a cure for cancer. And actually that's not such a stupid thing to say, because as we know, dogs are good and cats are good for our physical and our psychological health. They boost our immune system, they reduce our blood pressure levels, our cholesterol levels. It's said now in papers that the elderly that have a dog or a cat are less likely to visit the doctor. they're less likely to die of a heart attack. You know, these sort of things I think are becoming more and more impressive each year with papers that are coming out now. We already know that dogs are used more and more in hospitals, not just as therapy dogs to cheer patients up, but actually as sniffer dogs to sniff out things like melanoma or cancers on our skin, to sniff out prostate cancer in men, to sniff out lung cancer. And hospitals now are saying that they are better than machines. And this is one reason that I began a program way back in 1991 called Dr. Dog. And it's an animal therapy program that sends dogs to hospitals, disabled centres, home for the blind, the elderly, orphanages for children, etc., etc. And oh my goodness, it's now in 7 countries of Asia. You can see that it works. You can see the responses, not just from the patients, but from the doctors and administration staff who, you know, are astonished at the responses now that you get from patients. It's just a beautiful program that absolutely works and grows more and more each year.
So that has lived on, or are you still involved in it?
Absolutely.
After you, I imagine you must be so busy already with Animals Asia. So there is this other.
No, I don't lead the
you
program now.
still
Of
run.
course, we have amazing people leading the program here and in China, especially. And another program called Professor Paws that sends the dogs to schools to help children with their reading capabilities. And also the material that they're reading is all about the environment, the world around them, how to approach dogs safely. And the interesting thing about this is that they're reading not to a teacher, but to a dog. And again, you find that children are far less embarrassed to read to a dog than they are to a teacher, especially if they have, you know, learning disabilities, etc., etc. So that's another program that works so well, and of course is managed now by our amazing team here at Animals Asia. So I will dip in and out. I will talk about Dr. Dog and Professor Paws, but I certainly don't have the time to run it anymore. But it's run so superbly well by our team.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And there was something else I found out about you. Someone else said about you. She is changing lives of millions of people around the world just by caring. Why is it important to care?
Oh, goodness, I just think it's all about kindness. I think in this world of great tragedy these days, actually, and violence, you know, that we have to take the responsibility to care. And in the animal welfare arena, we don't just care about the animals around us, of course we care about people. And that again is another reason why Dr. Dog was begun, you know, to help people that are in situations of sadness or suffering, that need a 4-legged best friend that offers unconditional love, etc., etc. And just in our everyday lives, to care, to be compassionate, to think about how we lead our lives and how that impacts other people and other animals as well. You know, so things like not going to circuses where you see wild animals perform, because what does that teach us about that wild animal except for the size, the shape and the colour of that animal? It teaches nothing else. Not to, you know, buy cosmetics that have been tested on animals, not to wear fur, try to be vegan as much as you can, even if you can't be vegan for life, at least have an animal-free diet 1 or 2 days a week. You know, you will see your health improve. You will see, you know, the effects this has on the environment and of course on your wallet as well, because it's cheaper. And again, it's just all down to one life and how we treat other one lives around us.
Mm. These quotes, I have a very, I guess I was a bit sneaky, because these quotes I found in a beautiful trailer about you. You are starring, you're so modest and humble sitting there, but you're actually a movie star as well. Knowing all these celebrities that were talking about you in this documentary, To the Moon and Back, it's called. It was released in 2016, I believe, last year. First of all, I have to say I haven't seen it yet. I have to find out how can I see it. Maybe you can give me and our listeners a tip where to purchase it and how we can see it.
Oh, goodness, you could go onto the website. It's available to buy from Amazon now. I think it's called Where's My Name? And Jill Robinson, To the Moon and Back. And it was produced by the wonderful Andrew Telling, who came out one day to the sanctuary, again was completely blown away by what he saw and wanted to make a film about the
How
bears,
did you feel about that at first?
Well, of course, terrible, you know, it's not, but he made it so easy, and he introduced, he wanted to work with Peter Egan, our ambassador, as well, and Peter was so easy to work with as well because he's been out to see us a couple of times as well, so it was just like a conversation. That was what was so nice about the film. It was just a conversation. It wasn't, you weren't put on the spot, you know, and I ended up loving it, and it you know, I was just, again, I was blown away to have Peter involved, to have obviously Leslie Nichol, Mrs. Patmore in Downton Abbey, who was involved in the film as well. Of course, Virginia McKenna, my heroine, who heads up the Born Free Foundation and starred in the very same film, Born Free, many years ago. Matt Sorum, my goodness, the drummer from Guns N' Roses. Who would have thought that? Quite bizarre. But yeah, it's out on release now, and we hope it's going to do well. But I don't know, it was a nice exercise, and I loved working with everybody, and I loved putting our staff, you know, under the spotlight as well, because we have such amazing staff everywhere around the world, not just at the sanctuaries, but in our offices here in Hong Kong, and, you know, in all of our country offices too. We're very, very lucky. We always say this is the Animals Asia family, not the Animals Asia Foundation, and I think we all really believe that. Many of our staff have been here for 5, 10, 15, even 17 years, so we're quite long-lived and believe in what we do and close-knit.
I imagine having support from celebrities like that, having documentaries out. There were loads of awards. I could go on and on reading the awards that you have been already receiving in this last more than 2 decades of very meaningful work. I can imagine that impacts your work as well, or the support you receive, because you gain more visibility and people start talking about you more. But when I look at the impact, I'm always wondering, how do you measure your impact? How do you feel about your impact? What is important to you?
Well, I think that's not a difficult question in this current climate, because just a few weeks ago, the impact to our success was immense when we were invited to take the stage in a press conference with the Vietnam government to announce the end of bear biofarming there within the next 5 years. And it was one of the proudest moments of my life to stand there with our Vietnam director, Tuan Bendixson, who's worked so hard and relentlessly on ending bear biofarming in Vietnam. And although it has always been illegal, you know, it has to be said that the government has turned a blind eye for many years. And you know, together with other NGOs now in the country of Vietnam, we are really looking forward now to closure, to calling a stop to this horrible practice that has been allowed to continue, and help those remaining 1,000 or so bears in sanctuaries and close the doors on this industry once and for all.
I can imagine that was a moment where you draw a lot of motivation from as well. These moments when all this work really, it pays off, and you see that things are changing, and that thanks to your work, governments are changing their policies. I mean, that's amazing. It happened in China as well.
Well, it didn't happen overnight, you know. I mean, goodness, we began in Vietnam in the late 1990s. We were the first NGO to start, you know, the road against bear biofarming in Vietnam and China. So, and in China, as you know, that began in 1993. So it's been many years. Things just don't happen overnight. Look at the fur trade, look at the whaling industry, look at the seal industry. You know, it's groups are still fighting those issues to this very day. So you have to take each success, you know, and celebrate them, and then just use that, as you said, as motivation to the next one, the next success. And I think with Animals Asia, you know, we have very specific goals, we have very specific programs. We're not diluting ourselves unnecessarily, and so it makes those goals easier to achieve.
And looking at hard times, I'm sure there were setbacks as well. What would you think, or what would you share as your biggest failure so far, looking back at the past 20 plus years of work, what would you have done differently? What was the biggest learning?
Goodness. That's a tough one as well. I'm not sure that we would have done anything so differently. I think just to learn to live with frustration. You know, we've had terribly difficult times politically, I have to say. And I think, you know, in this region, everyone listening to this would understand that why. And you just have to ensure that you're working collaboratively in these countries, otherwise you will never be allowed to move forwards. And so just that obviously was the hardest question of all, you know, is just to shake off those frustrations and those hardships and just move on. You know, and as I say, with Vietnam, we are really seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, and that gives us impetus now for countries where bear farming exists elsewhere to, you know, be confident in our strategy, because it does all come down to a strategy, and we are very robust in that. We have an incredibly supportive senior management team and an incredibly supportive board as well, and we are accountable to them, and of course to everyone listening to this interview and our supporters here and across the world. You are accountable, and most of all you're accountable to the animals that you're endeavouring to help. So we realise the huge responsibility we have, and I hope we do everyone and everything justice.
Mm-hmm. Before I let you go, Jill, to your busy day, I will put you on the hot seat as well in our quick fire round to ask you 3 more fast questions. You ready for this?
I'd forgotten about that. Right, go for it.
What's one advice you would give your younger self?
Oh, that's an easy one. The advice I'd give my younger self is what Virginia McKenna gave my younger self when a long time ago, when I was wondering whether to start Animals Asia and was in turmoil and just didn't know what to do, and she said, just do it. And I would just say to anyone, just do it, whatever you have in your heart, you know, for the good of the world, of course, you know, because you just don't want to wake up one day regretting that you didn't try. And I know that it's been an incredibly challenging 30 years or so since I've been working in welfare, but I wouldn't have changed it for the world, and I'm glad I did it.
What's the one thing that everyone should start doing right now to support your cause?
Oh, please just go onto the website, have a look around, and become engaged with our work, because we can't do it without the help of supporters everywhere, and we are desperate for people to join us. So please, animalsasia.org, join us and be inspired.
And now, what could everyone do right now in this second to make the world a better place?
Oh, I think I've covered this a little bit earlier, is just to think how you can be compassionate in any way. You know, like, it can be what people might think, oh, that's ridiculous, but actually it's not. You know, like, even when you're walking, if you've got a spider in your house, don't kill it, for goodness sake. Remember that that animals are here for their own sake, not how they can be used or benefit humankind. So, you know, if you want to get rid of the spider, pick it up kindly and put it outside. You know, don't squish it. Look at your choices of what you're eating, what you're wearing, how you're being entertained, and reflect if that is going to be cruel to animals. You know, and be more kind to our fellow human beings. Think how you can help your neighbours, your friends. Just do something randomly kind for someone. I love this when this happens. You know, that you see a stranger in the street, buy them a coffee. Who cares? Just do something randomly good for someone or something at some point in your life, and be proud that you've put a smile on someone's face.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to be doing that today.
Cool.
I'm going to be doing that now. Walking in the street, I'm going to look out for someone and do something kind.
You know what? One thing I always thought is just go into Starbucks. All right, I'm promoting Starbucks here. But buy someone a soy coffee, a soy latte, because so many people don't buy soy milk, and the dairy industry is one of the cruelest industries on the planet. And by buying a soy latte for someone, you may be just turning their taste around to a cruelty-free drink, and you're showing a company like Starbucks that more people want to buy soy.
Yeah, great. Let's start
and
doing that.
And it's better for you. It's better for you. So.
And I really want to motivate our listeners to check out all your beautiful postings on Facebook. I will put all the links there so people can check out the documentary. I will do that as well. And then we hope to see you very soon. One of your next trips to Hong Kong.
Bless you. Thank you, Regina.
Thank you, Jill. Bye-bye. So it's been more than 3 years since I recorded this episode with Jill, and I still get goosebumps listening to her story. And I'm sure you feel inspired by her drive, her vision, her passion too. So make sure to get in touch with Jill and her team by heading over to their website at animalsasia.org to find all the ways how you can connect with them and follow their journey, and make sure to support them as well. Stay tuned for more conversations on the Sustainable Development Goals, and subscribe to our channel from wherever you're listening right now so you don't miss our updates. Reach out to us at hello@hashtagimpact.com and find more information on how you can become part of Season 5. We'd love to invite you in and get your voice heard on the channel too. You find all the links and all the information at hashtagimpact.com/season5. Thanks so much for joining us today, and I talk to you very soon. Bye.